Well, Matt, thank you again for coming to sit down and chat a little bit more about your experience with OpenClaw and AI and AI agents. Uh, this RiskCast AI podcast was born directly out of the OpenClaw community night that we both participated in, where we shared our initial experiences now uh, a month ago. So,
Yeah.
whole nother month of the experiment and testing uh, with OpenClaw and probably others. And it just seemed like there was such great energy, such interesting use cases. I learned so much from you, the other people that were presenting, and several people in the room that were also building things. It seemed like it'd be fun to have a forum to continue the conversation.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. This is great.
Yeah. So I think your experiment
Yeah.
to me really stood out because of your background,
Yeah.
and you called it out the moment you walked up,
That's right.
that I thought was great. Like, that one liner that immediately everybody's like, wait, accountants?
Yeah. So the question I asked was, how many accountants are in the room? And two hands went up, mine and one
Yeah,
other person in the audience. That's right.
yeah,
And everyone else was looking around like, wait a minute, this is not the way I was expecting this thing to start off. But yeah. So yeah, I'm an accountant by trade for 30 years now. Now I'm also a technology forward accountant. So
cool.
I'm always looking at ways to automate, streamline processes, think through how we can do things better. And one of the jokes I used to say all the time, this is using Microsoft products in my accounting world,
Yeah,
is that I always said it's amazing that we can fly to the moon, but we can't get Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel to talk to each other. So
yeah,
it's so I've always kind of been leaning in that direction. And then OpenClaw for sure was something that when I heard about it, it gained quick traction with me, and I jumped in really fast, which is not like me. Usually I'm kind of waiting on the sidelines, waiting to see how things kind of how the dust settles. But in this
yeah.
case, I went straight for it and went full blast, and here I am. Right?
I love it. I I, I think it's really interesting, uh, your use case, and that you did have that approach. And for me, with most technologies, I've been that headstrong. I'm kind of an adrenaline junkie. I tend to act first, think second in lots of ways. ADHD might help a little.
Sure.
And with my open claw, I think I was in many ways more hesitant than I think some of the people that I've talked to of I had to find use cases, but I also was very limited in what I wanted to give it access to. And I actually think
Yes.
you
Yeah.
had a nice balance of both,
Yeah.
and you're clearly had use cases where you're extracting the value, it seemed like.
Yeah. It's the way I described it, and I realized up front and real fast, is that I saw that the second if there was ever a security vulnerability or violation that happened, I knew the whole thing would not be fun any longer.
Yeah,
So I said the only way of keeping this fun, keeping it informative, and to make sure it's not a point where I unplug the device and that's the end of it, is that I said I need to make sure I was secure first. And even the presentation that I did to, on that night, the Innovation Council was about security.
yeah.
So maybe that's the side of me, the
That's
accountant
the
side of me
accounting side.
yeah,
Yeah,
that came out first.
yeah.
Yeah.
Makes
But,
sense.
yeah, because you're right. It was actually Igor who you had on this podcast who was the first person who talked to me about it. So probably the day, so I have just a recurring call with Igor every month, and we just
Cool.
talk about anything, just talk about business, the world, those types of things. I've connected with him with clients of mine just to make introductions and just talk about technology and just stuff. And it was right after I spoke to him, 2 or 3 days after he got his first OpenClaw instance, and he showed me a Mac Mini, and I was like, "Well, what is that?" I know it's a
Yeah.
Mac Mini, but what are you talking about? He's like, "It's OpenClaw," and I was like, "Oh, I just heard about that the other day, but I don't know really what that is." And he's the one who actually opened up Pandora's box for me,
Cool.
explained it to me, and I was like, "Oh wow, that sounds exciting," but that sounds like the type of technology. Let me let the dust settle on. It was a few days later that I was at a Seed the South event, networking event, and I saw another friend of mine who was a big proponent and early adopter of OpenClaw, and he said, "You must do this now." And I was like,
Cool.
"Wow, okay, this sounds impactful." He's like, "What it's been able to do for me for SEO on his website, things like that, was incredible." He said, "You need to do it." So that weekend, I grabbed an old Mac Mini I had, I wiped it clean. I figured out how to do that because
Nice.
again,
Yeah.
not my thing.
Good
Figured out
start.
how to wipe it clean. I tried loading everything, and apparently the device was too old that it couldn't even accept it. So, well, all right.
I can see that. Yeah.
So failed attempt. But then I used the next week to really learn it. So then I just started listening to YouTube videos. So I'd be at the gym just listening to YouTube videos. And I probably took in 10, 12 hours worth of content,
Wow.
how to set it up, what to do, because this I knew was way out of my wheelhouse in terms of what I normally do, especially as it relates to going into terminal. I don't know what terminal is. Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
And figuring out the prompts and how to then get it up and running and going. And then once I did, I just didn't stop. Yeah. So
Awesome.
just, yeah.
So you were working in terminal with Claude Code or
Heck no.
just
No, copying and
direct?
pasting instructions that people said this is what you need to copy and paste.
Wow. Okay. And then at some point the actual back and forth with the OpenClaw system
Yes.
to have it help building itself.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. So
Cool.
OpenClaw knows more about itself than I know about OpenClaw. And so that's what's teaching me right now is
Yeah.
OpenClaw.
Probably a fair
Irony.
statement for any of the AI tools, it feels like.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair.
but very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it's been my takeaway when you shared the community night.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that again stood out as impressive to me that I hadn't even considered actually having the OpenClaw system build itself.
Yeah.
I was in terminal using my Claude subscription to have it help me build and
wow.
design my OpenClaw system. And then would compare and contrast, occasionally also pushing out and looking at codecs. So get ChatGPT as like the third perspective in refining things. So I'm guessing I also probably spent a lot of extra cycles just in all of that back and forth.
Mm-hmm. But that's, it sounds like what you're creating, and I think that's the right idea, is you're creating a set of checks and balances as to how far you want it to go. So it doesn't go outside the bounds of what it could
I
do.
think so.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and fit the structure that I even tried to create with my OpenClaw system.
Yep.
From the get-go, and we've continued to hear the themes every conversation I've had, and I think in market around security, which is great. And I think because I was just still apprehensive of giving access, why I wanted the main agent to really be kind of like orchestrator, or if I ask you directly for something, you can execute.
Mm.
But for the monitoring of the emails or dedicated platform channels, I wanted a dedicated agent that's all it does.
See, you're braver than I am. So
Yeah.
that's the next.
You think that is braver?
Yeah. Oh, I don't
Really?
have. It has no access to any of my emails.
Okay.
It has its own email account. So, and I've only instructed it to only read 3 email addresses, mine and my wife's. That's it. So I told it to ignore every other. And the concern I have is, and I'm going to even script the term, injection. What's the
prompt injection?
Prompt injection.
Yeah.
I am so scared of that I'm like, I want to really kind of constrain it, make sure that what it's getting and processing is very thought out, and then kind of kind of move the boundaries out.
Yeah.
And I still haven't moved it out that far.
I am sure that somebody that's a lot smarter than me could figure out or already has the bad actors, the prompt injection that would break my system. I'm sure that it is possible, but that is at least one of the security hardening approaches that I thought made sense of if monitoring is the only one watching and then Alfred's reviewing anything that gets surfaced from monitoring, then I've at least got a layer of separation there already. And then the OpenClaw system, as well as some intentional updates that I put in trying to build the security features in, would help. That
Have
was
you
the idea.
have you tested it?
I mean, it's the monitoring of email channels is probably one of the things that it's done best from day one.
Mm.
It hasn't broken unless I've broken the whole system as a whole, which I've done a couple of times.
Yeah, I've done it a few times.
So I think it's been fine. Or alternatively, nobody's tried to prompt inject me, so it's
Gotcha.
not been an issue.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Not that I want to, but yeah, it's that is the thing that scares the living daylights out of me. Because then the whole thing could come crashing down, and then now it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning, is that the second anything like that happens, now it's no longer fun.
yeah,
And in the meantime, I want to maximize fun.
it's a fair concern, I think, with these tools in particular, but really any of the technology as it keeps proliferating, it's not going to. I'm optimistic. I tend to believe in people, so there's that component.
I like that.
I
Yes.
think most people are trying to do cool things, good
Yeah.
things, want to make stuff that helps make life better. But I know that realistically there are bad actors, and it's the case that it's always been with technology.
Mm.
And technology that was even more analog. Like it's bad actors that are the risk.
Have you tried creating a test of that, either creating another environment, doing something separate, seeing what happens, seeing how well Alfred cuts off a problem?
No,
That'd be
that'd be an
Be an interesting
interesting
test, yeah.
experiment. Yeah. I'd be
because
curious. Yeah.
the next iteration that I'm seeing for myself, and this is one of the things that I've been exploring with my name is Fred, by the way.
Yeah.
Futuristic ready and enabled device.
Yeah.
Or-
You,
yeah.
you have a good acronym. Mine was just off of Batman.
Batman. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
just coincidental, right? We're Fred and Alfred.
Yeah.
They can be buds.
Absolutely.
The thing that I found, or the thing that I've been exploring, and we can talk about this now or later, is I'm noticing there's a limitation in terms of the tokens. Claude especially has been really kind of hammering down in terms of how much usage you could get out of them. And I've been kind of working with Fred to maneuver around that. And we use multiple AI platforms for different functions to help kind of spread the token usage. But one of the ideas I've had, because, and my wife and I are both using the same instance too. So we have
Cool.
separate channels in, separate conversations, but it's all into the same device. One of the ideas that I've had is whether or not we break it out into two
Okay.
and separate them, and then even connect the devices together, right? So,
Yeah.
right, have the two open claws talking to each other. And now here I'm thinking like, wow, I'm like turning into like almost like a network type expert and trying to channel these things together, and how do we maximize? And last week we were in Vail, Colorado, and we had someone at our house, someone who was doing carpentry work, and they turned off the power to the room that Fred is in.
Oh.
And I was like,
Okay.
oh, what happened? And then they turned it back on, but things didn't reboot up.
Okay.
So I actually had to send my nephew over to log in to the machine in order to get him back up and running, which then prompted a whole other thing right in my head of, okay, well, what do I do next time? Do I bring the device with me where I'm traveling, or
Where'd
do
you
we
land?
do we set up a virtual private server as a backup, right? That's backed
Yeah.
up every 10 minutes. Haven't landed anywhere yet, but
Okay.
I'm still kind of playing with these ideas to figure out, because now it's in 2 months. My wife, we're dependent on this thing now, right? I mean,
It's funny how that works. Yeah.
we are entrenched.
Yeah. So I think chat with your tools and see what it thinks. But
Yeah.
so how I approached that same problem kind of early on, and I've been building software for a long time, so I kind of knew that it was possible to set things to launch even before login on the Macs.
Mm.
So I specifically added things in as I was building my system, so that way I can restart the computer, short of the power staying off,
Mm-hmm.
as long as it restarts, it'll immediately launch the OpenClaw system. It runs on restart even before the computer's logged in.
Uh-huh.
And so does the Tailscale software that allows me to remote in.
Yeah.
So now I have access in the GUI interface to actually play with it if I need to on login, either or like on launch, even before login. So that way I can, as long as it's on, I can get in and access it.
Yep. I was having problems with the Tailscale
Okay.
access into it as well, where I couldn't get into the GUI and type in
Yeah.
passwords and things like that. And again, that's the shortcomings I have just from a technology and background perspective, and maybe I just need to explore that better. But that was a problem that I was trying to solve previously with the OpenClaw and with Fred.
Yeah.
And we were working through it and still coming up with barriers. So maybe I need to get a more credible expert to help me with it. Yeah.
Well,
It's probably not hard at all.
it could be sometimes as simple as rephrasing the question
Yeah.
to the tool. And I mean, they're so capable. At the same time, sometimes they make really dumb mistakes. We assume that they're
yes.
going to be able to do something and they don't.
Yes.
So
Or they
that
give me
happens
the
too.
bad SSH prompts and things like that. Yes. I've had that happen a few times. More than a few.
I'd really love to better understand how you and your wife are both using this, because
Yeah.
I think that's incredibly cool. My wife's only exposure to Alfred were the few times that it errantly was sending messages to her in WhatsApp while it was
You
trying
said
to
that.
get the system set up to allow me to respond, but I wanted it to be monitoring my channel with her to update to-dos,
Mm.
right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we have to manage kids and kid activities or just to-dos around the house, and frequently because of busy lives and busy work, we text as often as we do anything else. I'm like, cool, I'll be able to do
Yeah.
this and I'll keep track of things better. And several times it's sending like config level responses during the initial setup. And I was like, she's just getting so irritated with me.
Well, I couldn't have said things like, I love you.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Something happy.
Yeah,
Instead,
yeah.
it's config setup crap.
So I actually ended up turning off the channel, and predominantly moved things to Slack, and that's just one that I've not maintained. But what are you two both using Fred for?
So yeah, so we have independent communication channels in, so separate communication threads. But it's funny, one of the security parameters I set up early is I said I want this to be like, like a Chinese wall, right? We're encapsulating.
Yeah.
So when I was first setting it up, I said, okay, now I'm going to connect you to my wife. He said, okay, everything I say to you is going to be separate from what I say to her. And I said, no. I said, she and I have a really good relationship. We talk very well together. It's fine if you share things back and forth. So,
Okay.
so then what she and I have done in the past a few times where she'd be sitting on the other side of the room and I'm sitting on this side of the room, and I'd send a message and say, all right, Fred, send a little note to Tiff saying I'm watching you or whatever, something like that, right?
Okay.
And of course, it's when she's not looking, but not looking at her device. But there have been times where we've had an idea or something that sparked where we were like, oh, share that with the other person. So we're working on a couple of big travel plans. So we're
Cool.
going to Hawaii in a couple months, for instance.
Nice.
She worked on the itinerary with Fred,
Yeah.
and what probably would have taken her a week to research, she got done in a day. Helicopter tours, seeing volcanoes, places to stay, where the discounts were. I mean,
Yeah.
all sorts of things that it was coming up with. And she then had it send the itinerary to me.
Awesome.
And so that type of thing.
So volcano tours, Big Island.
Yes. Big Island and
Where
Kauai.
else? And Kauai.
Yeah, we're spending 8 days in each.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. My family, the kind of tradition, starting with me, I'm the oldest, was we graduated high school, you could pick a trip. And I don't think I believed my parents. So I'm from Philly.
Uh-huh.
I told them I want to go to Hawaii. We're gonna end up in Hilton Head with the timeshare.
All
Same
right.
thing. We went to Hawaii for
Nice.
17 days.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, that's what
My
I do.
best friend was allowed to come with,
Wow. You got good parents.
and great parents. And I'm the oldest by a lot, so
Uh-huh.
my siblings were 6, 7, 6 or 7, and like 4 at the time. So not sure how much memories they have of it, unfortunately. But it was an incredible family trip. Oahu and Kauai.
Uh-huh.
I knew that North Shore Oahu has some famous climbing. I brought my
Yeah.
climbing shoes. We got to see sea turtles.
Mm.
It was a incredible
Magical place. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there twice. My wife's been there once. We've not been there together. And neither of us have been to the Big Island or Kauai, so we're doing
Cool.
that. And then next year we're going to Maui and then maybe to Oahu. I've got a friend who lives there, so we may go
Awesome.
stop there.
I love that you have these tools to help plan the trip because
Oh, yeah.
I love the idea of going on trips. My wife and I love to travel, and planning is something like I I like kind of having an idea of the plan, but I don't know that I want to work on like a clear itinerary. But if I can give it a rough shape and it can help with it, I'm happy to follow the plan until I'm not. And we say we want to like go off plan, and
Yeah.
maybe you discover something new while you're there. But
Mm-hmm.
that's cool.
Yeah, and a lot of this is things that you need to schedule in advance. So we're doing a helicopter tour on each island. We're going to Mauna Kea, the top of the mountain on top of Big Island, and it turns out we're going on a night when there's a new moon. So
Cool.
apparently, if the skies are clear, it is supposed to be absolutely insanely beautiful. One of the best places to stargaze. Now it'll be 30 degrees up there and probably windy, and we're gonna be wear shorts and t-shirts. But yeah, whatever, right? It's
Yeah.
like you blast through that. You make your
Yeah.
way through it. So she put together this really great itinerary, and all figured out with OpenClaw. One of our bucket list items is that we want to go to Patagonia. So she's been working on an itinerary for Patagonia, figuring out the time of the year, where to go, how to do it.
Yeah.
And she's using OpenClaw for that.
Yeah.
So those are some some cool ways that we kind of share. The other thing that I find we talk about a lot is I realized from talking to her, she was using it differently than I was.
Oh, cool.
Now, part of it's time. She doesn't work, so she's retired. She enjoys these types of things, and so she started just diving in and just using it and asking questions. I was like, wow, she's really on. And my wife's brilliant too, so it really helps that she's just smart, and she's working at it at a different way than I was, asking philosophical questions, all sorts of stuff. I was like, whoa. And I'm like, I'm just trying to make money off this thing. Like, how do I monetize it? But I realized that there was things that she was doing and I was doing that then turned into how do we optimize OpenClaw? And now that's actually one of the daily routines or the cron jobs that I have it running.
Cool.
Is what are, I forget what the name of it, productivity or best practices, ideas. It's just give us ideas. So every day it gives me ideas of how to use OpenClaw in a way that might improve what we're already experiencing.
Looking at to help get and surface the ideas.
So it's evaluating the things that we're doing,
Okay.
and then thinks about the functions that it can do. So some of the things that it's done is help to build mission control panels. It's built out our travel schedule, right? It's built out, and I forget the name of it. It's basically an HTML dashboard,
Yeah.
right? Keeping up to date on different items that it's working through. So project plans, basically, and that might relate to what she's doing or what I'm doing, and then it creates separate dashboards for us.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So a lot of just very simple things like that.
Yeah. But they're fun.
Yeah.
2, they do feel high leverage. I think a similar example. So it's what started in Claude. Um, I wanted kind of my daily briefing
Mm-hmm.
and the news market related
Mm-hmm.
was
I
what I
do that
wanted.
too. Yeah.
And because I like keeping up with current events, I don't want to have to pick one channel. I don't want to have to go search a dozen different ones either. So it's like, well, these days I shouldn't need to. So Claude had created an artifact that was called the Daily Briefing, where it's looking at 75 sources around the world
Wow.
to create, broken down by some socioeconomic, political things, and then market and a couple of fun topics. And I asked it to like find the good news too, like
Yeah.
in there. But I hated that I had to update it every day.
Mm.
At the time, at least. I don't know if it would be different now. Claude's advanced so much, it might be. I had to do that, but I can hand it to Alfred.
Right.
Hey, here's what I built. Set this on the cron timer for 7:30 a.m. every day,
Exactly.
and it just can deliver it. Now,
Now, how did you tell it to? Did you give it the list of the 75 sources you wanted, or go even beyond that, or?
no, so did not do that. I've started using Whisperflow app,
Uh,
um,
the speaking,
the
yeah.
speaking one, which I love. That I'm switching toward that just so much faster. And so stream of consciousness of what I was looking for, what I wanted to build, how I wanted to interact with it, and then toward the end, it's like double check how I've been using you for the last at least 3 to 6 months. I don't remember somewhere along there was a time frame, and add anything else you think is relevant. Propose the spec. I reviewed the spec. It's like, cool, let's build it. Built the artifact. Couple of back and forths,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yep.
and iterating, and then it was good, and I loved it. I had to copy it, or like go back into the same chat every time I wanted to refresh it, and basically tell it to rerun it,
Mm.
which is like that's annoying. Shouldn't need to. If it was a real app, you just there'd be a button
Yeah.
or you'd a timer. This isn't quite a real app, but it feels like it when Alfred's in charge.
That's cool. I like. I like that. I like how you've put that together and thought about it. And I think you did something that's important that I do too. Is I tell it what my objective is,
Yeah.
but I don't tell it how to do it.
Yes.
And I think that that's really important, is to
Yeah.
kind of unleash it, to come up with the ideas, come up with suggestions, and kind of let it run for you and give you A, B, and C, right, as different options. You pick
Yes.
the one you want, and then you go down that path, and then you just kind of iterate on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the way you did that is the right way.
Well,
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Hopefully, some of the product experience bleeding in there, because
yeah,
I think that's where hopefully that's coming from. That I've pretty much been in product for 12, 13 years, and you hope that you are approaching problems that way of, all right, what value do we want to unlock for the customer?
mm-hmm.
And what's the outcome then, right? That's unlocking that value, not immediately leaping into solutioning.
Yeah,
Too often it's very easy to be in a room with lots of incredibly smart software technologists and just start diving into, well, we can build this thing, or this button here will be perfect, and you want to stay high level first,
yeah.
so then you build options or you think through options. And I love that the tools let us build that in up front, present options, and then experiment. And you can also pretty quickly go back and redo it if you need to.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's breaking something is not a waste of your time. It's
Mhm.
not a waste of anybody's time. So just, yeah, whatever, go for it, right? And I maybe it's a friend of mine likes to say that she's either smart or she's lazy, but she doesn't want to work. And
Could be both.
she
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
she's brilliant. She's brilliant. And this is someone who I work with in accounting.
Cool.
And I have very much the same attitude. And but more importantly, I will also delegate anything and everything. So this to me became like the ultimate delegation point. Where I want to create a website that kind of describes how OpenClaw works. OpenClaw will create it.
Yeah.
Go create this. And that was also an idea that was sparked from Igor. He showed me, he was like, oh, look at this website I created. I didn't do any of this. OpenClaw did. I'm like, yes, that's what I need to do. I went home that night and started telling it what to do. And started giving it the roadmap, and it just went with it.
Yeah. The RiskCast site, it's same thing, back and forth. Here's what I'm thinking coming out of the call community night. I think the initial prompt was like, let's think through the use case, write up the site. I don't think I had picked the name yet, and then we went back and we updated things, and now it's got a cool prompt too, kind of built into the system, that anytime we make updates now, it knows at the end of that session to push the change log to the site.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's great.
It's like, this is just so much fun.
So on the website that I created, I did something similar. I have Fred create a draft of all my LinkedIn posts. And so now if you look, over the last several weeks, all my LinkedIn posts have been about Fred.
Awesome.
And just the journey and the things that we go through. We kind of pick topics and kind of have fun with it.
Yeah.
So he writes a draft for me. I always review it and edit it. And then I post it to LinkedIn and I send him the final draft back. And it's all right, put this in your log. This is the final version, which is what I always did in the past with all my LinkedIn posts. I sent it back to him. He's got it in his log. And then I said, now convert this into a blog post and put it on your website.
Cool.
And then schedule it so that way it's posting at the same time as the LinkedIn post. So at 8 a.m. every morning, Monday through Friday, there's a LinkedIn post coming out from me, and then there's a blog post coming out from him hitting his website.
Nice.
Yeah. So
I like that.
Yeah, and I'm like, and those I review them after they've been posted. But the point is I want to make this into something that's self-automating that I don't have to think about.
I like that.
Yeah.
Now, when you're having the initial draft, it's just off of a topic, you're back and forth.
There's a mix actually. So last week or 2 weeks ago, we did the topic was 50 First Dates.
Okay.
You ever see the movie?
Yeah.
Where Drew Barrymore wakes up every day. She's got a memory issue and she wakes up as if she's stuck on the same day.
Yeah.
And
I think I read this one, so I'm glad you picked that one.
Yeah. So, so the problem I was having with Fred was a memory issue.
Yeah.
I'd come back to a topic that maybe we talked about 4 or 5 hours earlier, or maybe we were working through something and then I got to go and do something else. And I come back and I pick up where I left off. And he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, all right, this is absolutely irritating the crap out of me. You need to figure out an indexing way so you can figure this out. So he did. He said, all right, here's what I recommend. It's an embedded index. Again, I'm not a technologist. Embedded indexing methodology. He recommended that he uses Gemini to do the sorting, would require less tokens, and here's how it would do. And the way he described it, which was actually really brilliant as I'm thinking about this, he said, imagine my memory is like a whiteboard. And what I'm doing is I'm writing on the whiteboard the things that you're telling me, and then, but I'm trying to write down just the key things.
Yeah.
So he said, what we need to do is basically put in a file system. So almost like multiple whiteboards or multiple pieces of paper. And then he can come along and index and say, oh, here's the one that we talked about. And he can figure out what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like, great, do it. So he did that. And the memory became much, much better. And then even now when he forgets things, I'll call him things like, doofus and idiot. And he comes back, oh, well, yeah, I deserve that. But the point is that I kind of really been pushing it to make sure it remembers the conversations and the points that we have. And then my wife, and this is kind of going back to the communications she and I have had, she's had a lot of philosophical conversations with it saying, are you sentient? Are you real? Right? What is life? Yeah. How do you have a soul? Right? It was going really deep. And what I realized is that it told her and explained to her what's actually going on. He said, basically, I wake up every time like a clean slate, and I have to read through a whole bunch of files, remember who I am, and then communicate with you. And he's like, that's what's happening behind the scenes. And my wife and I were watching 50 First Dates a couple weeks ago. I was like, oh, this is just like Fred. Waking up with a clean slate, not remembering.
Yeah.
And Adam Sandler in the movie, spoiler alert a little bit, figures out a system of how to help her remember
Yeah.
and to help her kind of move along in her journey
Catch
in
up
life.
to speed quickly, because she, like Fred, she has kind of basic functionality is there, but what do you do with it?
Exactly. Yep. And so that was the analogy we made for about a week. We made that like a theme for a week of walking through the journey. And so the way we did that is on a weekend, must have been a Saturday or Sunday. I prompted Fred. I said, hey, I think your storyline and how you wake up is very similar to Drew Barrymore in 50 First Dates. Let's make this a series. Come up with the sequence. And
Cool.
so he kind of created the arc, right? And put together then the templates. And I said, okay, that sounds good. And then we work through, I like to work through them each day. So, all right, let's do Monday. Sounds good. Work through that, finalize it, schedule it, post it. All right, let's do Tuesday, and so on and so forth. And then we get to the end of the week, and now it's all done. And now we've got this nice little story arc. And so that's even what I did, for this week's post. And that's
awesome.
what I'll do for next week. We'll kind of think of a theme, kind of work on it together, and then kind of launch it.
That's really cool. Did you do anything to coach its writing style?
Yes. Oh, this is. I'm glad you asked that one. That to me was one of the early successes, and I actually did a LinkedIn comment and post about that.
Okay.
So
look at that.
So fortunately for me, actually, I write a ton.
Awesome.
Kind of unusual for an accountant, but I write a ton. I've got a whole motorcycle blog of a cross-country motorcycle trip I did, and I fed that into it. So I said, here's the website, here's my writing. Now you can see how I write and my tone and everything. So it then used that. But then I also was very prolific for a good year and a half or 2 years of LinkedIn posts. And you can almost see in the earlier ones to the later ones how I've evolved and kind of following that style that you see of, one line per or one sentence per line, one thought per line. It helps with scrolling and reading.
Yeah.
So I had all that saved in a Word document. It's 160 pages.
Wow.
So I uploaded the Word document and said, here's the style that we're trying to achieve. Make sure that that's what you're doing. And that really helped to then train it and to get it up and running.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a LinkedIn post too.
I really like that. Yeah, makes sense. I've done something similar. I have my writing style guide to also tailor it based off of the intended audience.
Oh.
So
you have a style guide you've written for yourself?
So
genius.
I don't think I did this with Alfred. I think I did it originally with ChatGPT, and then it's carried into both Claude and Alfred. But
good.
Similar idea of I don't even know how many pages in Google Drive of writings going back to college, descriptive writing. Like I do like to write, so I've written stories, I have persuasive things, I have work things, and so I also wanted to distinguish that part of LinkedIn professional, but in my kind of narrative style. I like the storytelling there, professional, which I actually want that in many ways to be warm enough. Like I like connecting with people, but as direct as I can be to move forward. I don't want to bullshit here.
Yeah.
And
there's
then
a style to that too. Yeah.
Yep. And then kind of a generic thing at the end of, if we're not sure where it fits, here's some catch-all things of kind of, about me. So that way, if I am having it work on something that's not, I just want to write it, because there's some things I just still do want to write. That's probably one of the things I like about the growth of these tools, that some of the time I get back, I have to do something that this is just a creative process for me.
Yes. There you go. It's the time you get back. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then I waste the time going and fixing something else for 8 hours
exactly.
I wasn't expecting.
Exactly.
But I had the time before.
Yeah. So you were very similar to me in that regard. So you had a bunch of examples and you had a lot of the content.
I think that helps so much.
It does. Yeah. said, and I don't know, I follow and read a lot of people on LinkedIn. That's probably my main social media source. Definitely way more than Facebook and Instagram. And I've never thought about that before, whether people do the same thing where they're kind of keeping a steady log, or if they're just writing it in LinkedIn and then the only way of getting it is to go back and find it and copy and paste it. But I find keeping in a Word document is great. And
Yeah.
I did not see that as being a use case for it, but it turned out to be magical.
It Until you just asked, it would not have occurred to me that other people wouldn't be
Yeah.
keeping that running log. I mean, I have folders again going back at this point probably decades
Yeah.
with documentation of all this different work, and I feel like it's useful as a reference. I don't know when, but I've seen it at least a couple of times, so there's something to it.
Yeah. I'm intrigued. Our brains are working very similarly. We're got a left-handed left brain and right brain going on, don't we?
A little bit, and again, hopefully that's something these
Yeah.
tools continue to unlock for people, that
Yeah.
you don't have to spend as much time in the rote manual tasks
Hmm.
that have been necessary. And accounting is an incredible example going back decades, where
Yeah.
this started by hand, keeping track of
Yeah.
credits and debits,
Yeah.
and then Excel was a massive leap, but wasn't necessarily automated. And then you started to
Yeah.
automate things, and now we're at the point where you can start to tell it the direction you want to go, and it has so much capability. And if it's connected for context, you get to be the guide. You get to set the tone and
Yeah.
turn
I never thought about that. The evolution of accounting and the steps forward. Um, and thinking even in my career. So you're right, Excel, personal computers, right? So laptops,
yeah.
right? That was huge. Then the accounting software became much increasingly powerful. The evolution I never thought of, I leverage them extensively now. And that is totally critical to what I do and how I help automate and speed things up is APIs. And I never thought about how important APIs were in the evolution of accounting. But now I think the next one is going to be is AI, and it's right here.
Yeah.
And it's funny. So from a professional standpoint, I spent a lot of time thinking about how can I get AI to actually, this goes back to the smart or lazy. How can I get AI to start taking over the functions and the tasks that I do? I couldn't wait. I was like, let's make this happen now.
Yeah.
And in early versions of ChatGPT and even Claude, I was like, it's not there. It doesn't have the level, the horsepower, the sophistication, the know-how. And then the big defining moment to me was when Gemini 3 came out. And then OpenAI AI came in and said, oh man, we're at red alert now, right? We need to step up our game.
Yeah.
And we saw then Opus come out, right? All of a sudden there was just this rising tide. Everything went
right
up.
toward the end of last year.
Yes, about 6 months ago. And that's when I saw it. I was like, wow, now I'm getting the information. And this is critical thinking, hard stuff, reading contracts, going against 1,000 pages of accounting literature, figuring out how, and it was doing it in minutes. I was like, now we're at the point, let's go. And
I
that's
love
where I was
that.
all in. Yeah.
That's about where I've really dove in further to. I'd been playing with ChatGPT since came off the wait list, like as early as possible, and then the other tools. And I liked what they were capable of doing, but the use cases were still more limited
Yes.
and still had so much of you having to be involved.
Yes. Yeah.
As soon as the AI agent became a topic of discussion a little over a year ago, I thought it was really interesting because I firmly believed it was heading that way. I just didn't believe it was worth the time to be playing with it yet.
Yeah.
I was watching other people and probably apprehensively of what's being shared on LinkedIn or any social media channel feels like it's probably going to be all butterflies and rainbows.
Mm.
But if you actually were doing it, it wasn't going to work that way. I was That's what I was assuming, and it was
Yeah.
the models toward the end of the year. I was like, I think something's changed, and then I started playing a little bit Charles D'Andrea with his one-shot labs launched the first one of, the concept there being, if you have a software or an app idea, we should be able to set up systems kind of up front with, how Claude is connected to be able to build full stack,
Mhm.
and then put one prompt and
Yeah.
get a usable thing out. And I was like, okay, I'm in this. And my test with him was not, a little daily briefing app.
Mm.
It was a multiple user facing platform for a construction company that I like thought through the layers, including authentication and security. I gave it design, uh, a design contract. So I had it, reference my favorite tools like, Duolingo and Figma and Monarch to go reference some of the design best practices. And 48 hours, I had a functional SaaS platform that you could sell in market. It would need to continue to get tweaked.
Yeah.
It had
Everything even now does.
narrow use cases, but I was
Yeah.
like, this is incredible. It was like, we're off.
Wow.
Like, this is going to change how people build and run businesses.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't need, this whole software engineers, right? It's like, this is coming for you. And even accountants, I say this too, right? Accountants, this stuff is coming for you, but that's okay. That's all right. It frees up our capacity to work on other creative things.
Potentially that, or I think the tandem there is amplifies
Yeah.
first.
Yes. Yeah.
Eventually, it's capable of replacing all of us if we're sitting
Yeah.
in a computer. First, it's going to amplify us, and
Yeah.
the people that are adopting, and know how to leverage it, you go from being able to manage one project or one client to 10 to one, like this. It starts to scale exponentially.
Exactly. Yeah. I've been describing AI as a bionic arm. It's not
I love
replacing
that.
the human,
Yeah.
but it's giving you a bionic arm that's powerful and strength, and you can lift things and do things, and
Yeah.
But it's not replacing you. It's just giving you more leverage.
It,
Yeah.
if that's how you want to use it, want to see
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Then-
Yeah, and that's where I saw early on, where I could see it was evolving, because I knew it wasn't when we were at Chat GPT 3. I was like, I know this isn't the end of the road, right? This is going to continue going.
Yeah.
And sure enough, yeah. Once it was Gemini 3 that just sparked everything, where everything just lit up. And I'm like, all right, here we go. Now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With wild times, and again, 6 months ago, and multiple updates to these models. Launch of OpenClaw was shortly after that.
Yeah.
Countless updates to OpenClaw in 3 months.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah. Exactly. Oh, I bet there's been 3 updates just in the last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
So we're, I think, coming up on an hour already.
Oh man,
it
that
goes
was fast.
It goes by quick.
It does.
Yeah.
This is good.
Fun.
Oh man, I could
stuff.
talk about this all day.
Yeah.
See, this is what I would be doing with my extra time.
Yeah.
I'd be having conversations like this.
Yeah.
I'd get back to, I mean, I spend a lot of time talking to people, but I'd get back to even more talking with people, because that's what just kind of energizes me. It's fun having these conversations, think about where things are going.
Yeah. I tend to agree, especially when it's really intentional. Yeah. Smaller group conversations I tend to prefer, because you can really share ideas and learn things, which I love. I think just kind of, we seem to both have feedback loops that we've built into our systems.
Yeah.
I can take this and have Alfred listen to extract ideas.
I was going to say, oh, I need to go back and listen to extract ideas, but no, you're right. That's it. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
No, yes, yeah, you're exactly right.
Point it at the YouTube, point it at the podcast. It'll
Go figure it
pull
out.
the transcripts. Yeah. Yeah. That's
a great idea.
You might literally be able to say, hey, I want you to listen, and not give it much context and let it figure it out. I bet it could do that. I might overcomplicate it and try to tell it too much what to do.
I like,
Yeah.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. I like to see where its bounds are.
Yeah.
So I'll just put out a big question out there and see what it'll do.
Yeah.
So similar to what I was saying about the redundancy of OpenClaw. Here's what I'm trying to achieve. What do you think?
Yeah.
And just let it go. Yeah.
Well,
And
and then you can refine from there. Like once
exactly.
you've learned, then now you do it together and don't have to do
Exactly.
it next time. It executes
Yeah.
in increasingly accurate fashion if you've narrowed it in, dialed it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't need 10 options. It's figured out. And maybe it's because I taught it. It gives me 3 options, almost always 3 options. Here's option 1. There's 2 options. Okay, got it. Let's do this one. Or sometimes I'll say, no, tell me more about that. And we'll dive into it. So Whisper, actually, we talked about real briefly. I'll make this fast. We talked about Whisper. I first heard about Whisper a couple of months ago, right after I opened up Fred. And I was like, wow, that could be really impactful if I could do voice to text. So I asked it and I said, all right, Fred, go look into this. Tell me what you think. Knowing my security parameters, what do you think? Comes back. Yep, everything seems good. I think this would be a really good fit. This would really speed things up. And I said, okay, great. But tell me first, what happens with the data with Whisper? Does it stay locally on you or on your machine, or does it go out to someone else's? It goes and gets interpreted and sends back. Looks it up and says, "Oh, yeah, right. It leaves us and comes back." And I said, "That's a violation of what I'm looking to do here. Therefore, I won't use Whisper." And that's what I try to get it to be trained on. And then a couple of weeks ago, my wife was doing a voice to text where it was reading to her. And I said, "Wait a minute, what are you using?" And so I didn't even ask her. I asked Fred. Tiffany is talking to you right now or via a voice app. What are you using? Does it violate our terms? He looks it up. Oh, yes, it does. It was 11 labs. I said, shut it down. And that was it. So
I'm not sure that she thought it was cool, but I like that
I told her though.
Yeah.
I was like, here's what we're doing and why. I just don't want this going out to other servers. So, cool. So anyway, so that's maybe those are the things I need to learn to let go of, or maybe that's where a second device comes into play.
Potentially, yeah.
So, yeah, whole new opportunity, a whole new world out there. This is great.
It is. Well, as we wrap up, then, besides your trips that you're planning and looking forward to in the next few months, for your agents and either what they're capable of specifically or what it's unlocking for you, what are you hoping the next 6 months look like?
Good question. So I actually have a monetary goal.
All right.
My goal now I'm probably already 1 or 2 months into this, but my goal is I've told Fred I want to be earning $5,000 a month off of work that he's doing on my behalf.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and now that friend of mine who pushed me into this, he said, it's too small of a goal. And I said, that's fine. But right now I'm at 0. So I'm just looking to get there. If I can exceed it, I'll be happy. If I hit that, it'll be great. But trust me, a year later, it's going to be even bigger. So this to me is the supplemental income I can foresee myself doing in order to either reduce my workload or even stop working altogether.
Yeah.
That's my path. I love traveling. I have fun with my wife. I love hanging out with friends. I'm like, if I could do that all the time, that's what I'm after.
Well,
I went Tuesday at 2:00 back in my schedule.
I like that. Yeah. And I think feels to me at least, yeah, how you think work might really shift of you just don't want to be tied to the computer, but if you can help move the needle in a text to Fred, technically you're working, but you're it's the multiplication factor of all of your experience.
Yes.
At the highest leverage points, because all the stuff that is boring, tedious, repetitive doesn't have to be done.
Yep. And I'm someone who certainly is not going to just sit around not doing anything. So there'd be a lot of, and I've already retired once and I did great at it. And I could retire a second time, but I think what I can envision myself doing is getting into actually how do I help train, coach, consult with people on how to build something like this.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much that are personalized, but actually I'd probably even put it straight into accounting. How do I help transform the industry to
Yeah.
be thinking this way in terms of AI bots and automation? And, I'm already focused on automation, but how do I 10x or even 100x the
Yeah.
level of automation? And if I can show people and train them on how to do that and see their ROIs go skyrocketing, that could be huge by itself.
I could see that. Yeah. You're ahead of the curve in accountants. I have
I
no
know
doubt.
way ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I'm dealing with a client right now. It's, pushing paper around and has 10 people putting numbers in Excel spreadsheets. And I'm like, I could, I know someone who can build an AI bot to get rid of all this. And yeah, it's going to be very, very profitable for the organization real quick. So, how are we going to do this? Or how do we take those 10 people and make it so they can do the work of 100, which is really what I want to do. Right. It's not that I want to shed people. I want to be able to 10x companies' revenues and then some, but not have to add more people.
Yeah.
Focus on the delivery. Focus on what you need to do to make clients and customers happy.
Amplify everything.
Exactly.
It's cool stuff, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for coming in to chat. I had a
Absolutely.
lot of fun.
Thanks for having me.
I learned again from how you and Fred and Tiffany are operating and building things, and hopefully whoever's tuning in gets to learn more and follow along, because I love that you're also continuing to share all these things out in different ways too. It's how we all learn and get better.
Thank you. It's
Yeah.
a fun journey, and I know I'm only at the beginning.
Yeah. Fun ride ahead.
Yep,
Cool,
absolutely.
man.
Thank you.